Hello guys, welcome back to the tutorial series where we are learning about Node.js API development using Express. If suppose this is the first time you are landing on my YouTube video, please go ahead and subscribe. Hopefully we'll be getting a lot of required and developer related content in the channel frequently because I upload videos frequently. Okay, so don't forget to subscribe, like, and share with your friends. Okay, so let's continue from where we left in the previous video. In the previous video, we are getting unauthorized exception. Okay, I just fixed that. We got the response. I'll be telling you what is the fix that I have made. Nothing on the code side. Everything that we have previously is as it is. What the thing that I have changed is nothing but the database side. Here you can see that I do have the password generator that needs to be fixed. So let me go to the structure. If you watch my previous video where we were discussing about creating the tables that we required, at that time I just kept the size of the password field as 100. Okay, but the generated password size is actually 128 byte. That is a difference. Okay, that is why I just modified the size of the password field to the 200 so that I do able to save the entire content into that. It is always good to keep some 250 or 300 based on the algorithm that we have used, but in my case I'm just keep it as 200. This actually solves the issue. Let me run the code again from the new request. Okay, now we are getting the issue. Let me try to fix it up. Give me a minute. We can fix it up. Okay, okay. Ah, here you can see that we do have a two different parameter here. Here we can pass. I passed only one parameter. Uh, Let me try to pass some text data. Newly logged in user. Some data, whatever the data that you require, you can just pass it out. Shouldn't be an issue at all. Now we have saved the changes. Let me run the code again in the. Okay, here you can see that, right? The authenticator user is authenticated actually. The token, the generated token is this one, and the generated time is this one, right? So we'll be using this specific things to validate that. Usually we'll be sending this kind of request in the cookie, and from the cookie we'll be pasting everything whenever we are sending some request. So it will be automatically added to the header, right? So those things we'll be discussing, and that's all about backend development. Okay, I hope that you'll be having some clear understanding of how to create a table, how to write some, setting up the Node.js application development, and developing the APIs using Express.js. I hope that if you are clear, if you are facing any issues apart from the issue that I am facing, if you have any other queries related to the things, then please put it in the chat box. That actually encourages me to do a lot of video. Before closing this video, let me give you a quick introduction, quick revamp of whatever that we have did so far in the last couple of some 10 videos. Let me close the request, close everything. Let me move back to the file explorer. We don't need the node modules. Here you can see that I have installed, okay, I have installed few dependencies that I'm using. Let me move back to the root. Let's have in the index.js file this application. Okay, the application that we are developing actually focused mainly on the login and logout. So we will be having only few different things alone here. Okay, only two endpoint. One endpoint is for registration, another endpoint is for login. But here you can see that I do have an index.js. The pattern that I used here is nothing but the model view controller. Here is the model, here is the view, and here is the controller. Since this is the API, we don't have view here, we only have model and controller. So this is the controller. Whenever you get some request, okay, whenever you get some request from the user, that will move to the this specific area. Here you can see that I'm just registering the authentication route. Where does this route comes from? The route comes from author.js. Okay, here you can see that I do have registration post request, login post request. Both accepts username and password. This is the simple application for beginners who wanted to learn a registration response developing API who can make use of this one. We will be usually getting a lot more data when we are registering, and also we'll be doing a lot more work when we are doing the login operation as well. But for the beginning stage, this is enough. Once you have some strong grasp on the Node.js API development, that's enough to proceed further. There is no due on that. Now we are done with the auth.js file. But once the validation is actually completed without any failure, the request will get automatically traversed to the register method. What does that register method? Where it actually comes from? That actually comes from the controller. Let me open the controller. Here you can see that I do have a two different method. One is for login, another one is for registration. Now we are looking at the registration method. Registration method, we will be getting username and password from the request body, and then I'm validating both registration and password. Now I'm generating some UUID. Okay, this is the package that we have used and installed. Just go back to the second video. Most probably you'll be getting those kind of idea. What are all the packages that I installed? What is the purpose of each and every package? Now I generated on salt. Using the salt, I generated an encrypted password, and then I just sent those details into the model file. Okay, model file. Before going through the model file, we wanted to understand how I connected to the database. Those connection actually make use of the Sequelize package. This is actually the ORM which let us to connect through the Node.js application and then the MySQL database. This is how we'll be connecting that. This is the detail kind of a connection string. Using that we'll connecting to the database, and here we have the export operation, and whenever I need the connection, I'll be just invoking this specific method. I'll be getting connection established successfully to the database. I hope you can see it here, right? That's how it should be. Now let me move back to the author.js, and here I'm just getting the username and password salt. I'm just inserting into that. This is actually the Sequelize ORM code, right? So registration.create, I'm just creating a new record into the table. What is the table? The registration. Where does this registration comes from? Here you can see I just created the Sequelize model. Of course you can keep the model somewhere else, and this method somewhere else. Shouldn't be an issue, but this is quite good enough. I have the table structure, I have the specific method for that table alone, so that's well and good. I usually like to have this kind of syntax. That's how we have done for the registration purpose. For the login, there is no much different. The same way, whatever that we done for the registration, the same way that we did for the login as well. Here you can see that login functionality. I'm getting the username password, trying to fetch the data from the table if the username is valid. If not, I'm just responding back. If the valid, then I'm encrypting the password based on the salt that I'm getting from the table. Okay, so once that is fine, I'm just validating encrypted password with the password that I do have in the database. Once both are fine, then I'm just proceeding further, else I'm returning with the unauthorized exception, right? Now I'm again generating the token. There are many different ways to proceed further with this thing. Okay, this is just to create one token. Okay, and then I'm creating one response with authenticated, whatever the token that I have created, and then generate time. This generate time is actually the token generated time, right? That's all about the backend development, nothing but Node.js API development. Okay, now we are done with this thing. Now what further? That's nothing but the React, the UI that we are going to develop. Let's do that.